Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. After you marry a woman from the Philippines, then I think there's going to be more classes that will be held so that you can learn more about your wife. The dating stage before you get married, that's all the easy stuff, the pleasant things. Once you marry her, somebody from another country, maybe a lot younger, immigrate them over to your country, which is a lot different than hers, I think you need to expect a big learning curve. And it's going to go both ways. And I want people to be prepared for this, because sometimes I get the impression some guys think that, Filipinas are, last resort. If you can't find somebody in your country, you can easily find somebody in the Philippines. They'll just do anything to be with a Western man, and that just isn't true. It's just not true. They are available. They do want to be married, but it's a little bit harder when they're so far away, and there's going to be more costs involved, and you got this visa wait that can take a year or more. We went through all that back in 2015 when I married my wife in Davao City, Philippines, and I try to share things that you're going to need to know. I think you should be interested in a woman from the Philippines. I think you should be interested in marriage to a woman anywhere, as long as you're compatible. And can you find a woman compatible in another country? Yes. But there's some things that are going to have to cause you both to go back into the classroom, such as the obvious. It's a new country, new way of doing things, a new country thousands of miles possibly from where she's lived all her life, new weather, new attitudes in the people that she is around. There's this aspect of being away from home. We'll talk about that a little bit more. There's, I'm going to try to squeeze this into one video. There's commitment. You're going to learn about her commitment level. Before, she'd probably never been committed before. Now that she's married, there's this commitment. That's a lot different than being single. I kind of think being single is like flag football, and being married is like tackle football. It's harder. It's more complicated, more likely to get hurt. So now that she's made this commitment to you and you to her, that's a brand new dynamic. And you're going to learn about each other and see how committed she is going through certain different types of challenges. You don't know that. You can hope and surmise that she's likely to, handle things a certain way. You don't know until you are married. So be married and be patient, because there's things to learn. How she handles commitment, how she handles you. You may be an older guy from so far away, haven't spent a whole lot of time with each other, and now she is married to you, living in your space, you're in her space, you've got to mesh together somehow. That's a new change. Before, if you were just communicating hours a day on video, like many of us have, well, that's great, but, you're not there together. Little things when you're together can be a big bother. If you have any controlling tendencies, that's going to bother her. If she has any controlling tendencies, that's going to be a bother to you. Maybe she feels like she's going to be in charge of the money. Maybe that's the way it was in her family. She calls the shots. That's what she expects. Better talk about that sort of thing before you get married. How do you see it going? What are the ground rules? How is she going to resolve conflict with you? You're not going to get a whole dose of that and a lot of experience probably before you're married. So something else, be prepared to start over, go back to school, and keep learning. I don't know how long the classes are going to be. Could be 5, 7, 8, 10 years. Who knows? I've been married 7 years. I'm still learning about my wife and how to dwell with her. the best way. Then there's different expectations. Probably going to make this 2 videos, because it's just going to take a while. Different expectations. Now that she's with you in another country, she may have to drive. There may be a difference in working in America versus working in the Philippines. I know you got to be on time. Some workplaces aren't as fun-loving as they are in the Philippines. So different expectations, maybe more responsibilities on the job, maybe more negative, complaining coworkers, maybe more gossiping coworkers, perhaps, in the West. That's something that she's going to have to adjust to. Let's talk lastly here about, and I'll have part 2, how she reacts missing her family. If I haven't, I'll do a video on best way to deal with homesickness. I've got several hundreds of topics left to roll out here on TikTok. Please follow here, by the way, if you want in-depth information about foreigner-Filipino relationship. I want to focus on marriage because I think that's where the best place to be is, although it's more difficult. So we need to talk about some things. Homesickness is one thing. Could take her 2 months, 3 months, 6 months or longer. She might not even open up to you that she's struggling. Like my wife would cry before I came home. She'd see me come home before she got a job, and then she would clean up so she didn't think that she was crying. It's tough, and even a couple of years after that, she may still feel like she misses home, and she's certainly going to want to go home. I don't think she's leaving the Philippines to go back once every 5 years. Again, that's something that you'll need to talk about, because she's going to miss home. She's going to want to be around her family. She's going to have a lot of time to think on those flights. Multiple flights probably from the Philippines, like from Philippines to Nebraska. That's 4 flights. It can take 26 hours, 32 hours if you're not lucky with the flights. That could be a whole experience. She could get here, her nerves could be shot. She could be wondering, what am I getting myself into? Be patient with her. Very, very important to be patient with you as you learn more about her, because you're going to, when she comes with you, to be in your country. That's when things get real interesting, but that's where the growth takes place. And I've got some more things to talk about. We're just going to have to make a part 2. So stay tuned for that coming up here on Love Beyond the Sea.